So we're going to find out what his speed was in just a second. But first, we're going to do some easier problems. Okay, here's the first one. We're going to do it together as a class. We want to find 25.8 divided by 2. 25.8 divided by 2. Okay, so when I divide this, I've got to put it in a division box. Now, what number goes inside my division box?
25.8.
How do you know it's 25.8?
Bigger number?
Okay, but we have these things called fractions too, right? So fractions are how you divide things that don't divide normally. So how do you know what goes inside the box and what goes outside? 25.8 is being divided by 2. So when it's listed like this, the number listed first always goes inside the box. Okay? If this was written like a fraction, 25.8 divided by 2, then whatever the numerator is, y'all know that word, numerator? Number on top always goes inside. Okay, so one of the common things people always say, or students always say, the bigger number goes inside. Well, that's not always true. When it's a division problem like this, whatever's listed first goes inside, or as a fraction, the numerator always goes inside. Okay, so the 25.8 does go inside, and it's going to be divided by 2. Now, our number inside has a decimal, and that's fine. My number outside, when we divide, we never want it to have a decimal. Okay, so right now it doesn't, so we're set. We can just begin our division like normal. So can 2 go into 2? Yes. How many times? 1. 1 times 2? 2. We subtract, we get 0, and we're going to bring down the 5. Can 2 go into 5? 2 times. 2 times 2? 4. I subtract those. I get a 1. So now I bring down the 8. Now here's the important thing. I've now crossed where the decimal was on the inside. So you see how I've lined up my numbers very nicely? As soon as I cross the decimal, that means the decimal has to go up in my answer. So I bring that decimal up. So my answer is going to be 12 point something. Now, can 2 go into 18?
Yes.
How many times? 9. 2 times 9 is 18. So that leaves me with 0. So now, since I have 0 left over, I am finished dividing. Therefore, my answer is 12.9. Okay, when I divide 25.8 by 2, that gives me 12.9 as my answer. Okay, here's 2 division problems for you to try on your own. I'm going to call on you to answer them. Okay, why did you bring down a 3? Because this is how you have it set up? 8.7 divided by 3. So what number should be brought down? 7. Okay, so now how many times can 3 go into 27? 3 times 9 is? Which leaves us with 0. Okay, so then what would be my final answer here? Yep, 2.9. Remember, there's a decimal here that needs to be brought straight up to put here. So the correct answer here should be 2.9. Any questions on A? 9.3. Okay, Because here's the next one, and I'm going to do it on the board for all of us to watch, okay? So let's set it up. 199.68 divided by 9.6. Okay, so we talked about this a little bit before. I have a decimal underneath my division box, which is fine. But having a decimal outside my division box is bad news, okay? Do not like that. Does not make it easy to divide. So I want to get rid of this decimal. So here's how you do that. To get rid of the decimal on the outside, we move the decimal over by one place. So instead of 9.6, I now have 96. But in order to be able to do that, I have to move the decimal on the inside. It keeps it balanced where I'm dividing the same thing. Okay, so I move the decimal over one place on the inside, and that should give 1996.8. Any questions about that? So here's a little side note. If I had this problem, if I had 0.5 divided by 5, and I had to move the decimal one place over, I have to move the decimal on the inside too. Okay, even though we don't see the decimal, even though there's no other number, you have to move the decimal over one place. So what would that be? That would be 5 divided by 50. When we move that decimal over, we have to get a placeholder 0 there. So it's 50. Anytime you move the decimal, you can't just move it and not put a number there. So we use zeros. Okay? You're going to see this on your Khan Academy homework. That's why I'm showing you that now. You're going to see stuff like this, where you have to move the decimal over. So they don't really give us one exactly like this in our book, but this is as close as we can get. That's what we're doing now. So, let's get back on track. So, I've moved the decimal over one place in both places. So, instead of 9.6, it's 96. And instead of 199.68, it's 1996.8. Now we go ahead with our division. Can 96 go into 1? No. Can it go into 19? No. Can it go into 199? Yes. How many times can 96 go into 199? 2. 2. So this is the way I think about it, okay? 96 is really close to what number? 100. 199 is real close to what? So how many times could 100 go into 200? All right, so that's how I'm getting my number. So 2 times. 2 times 96. So you might have to go over here and do some scratch work. 2 times 6 is 12. Carry the 1. 2 times 9 is 18. Plus 1, 19. So that gives 192. 192, which is really close to that 199. We subtract. That leaves me with 7 is all I have left. Now I'm going to bring down the 6. Can 96 go into 76? So what do I have to do? Okay, but before I can bring down the 8, before I put the decimal, how many times can 96 go into 76? You have to put 0 up there in your answer. Right? It goes in there 0 times, so there's no subtraction that needs to be done. Now it's time to bring down the 8. And like we said, we've now passed the decimal, so I'm going to put the decimal in my answer. Now 96 goes into 768 how many times? Well, I don't know, but I'm going to take another guess. This is close to 100. This is pretty close to 800. So 100 goes into 800 8 times, so I'm going to guess 8. All right, let's see if that works. 96 times 8. 6 times 8 is 48. Carry the 4. 8 times 9, 72 plus 4.
76.
Worked perfectly for me, okay? So it went in 8 times. 8 times 96 was 768. I subtract, I get 0. There are no digits left to be brought down, so this is my final answer. 20.8, or 20 and 8 tenths. Okay. Now what?
Okay, now say 3 can go in 9 3 times.
Yeah,
Then go to 9.
yeah,
Straight 9 times is 0.
yeah.
3 9 8.
Okay,
3 times 2 is 6.
okay,
2 is left over.
okay,
Then I brought down to 1.
okay,
Then 3 times 7 is 21.
okay,
And then you put the decimal point between the
okay. Then when I subtract that 21, I got 0 left. Right, so that was all we needed. So our answer there should be 32.7. That's correct. Okay, so it's 5.76 divided by 3.2.
She said 6.
Sorry, I'm having trouble with
So now I'm going to move the decimal one place to the right. That leaves me with 32 divided by, or the other way, 57.6 divided by 32. Okay, I'll erase this so I've got room. Now 32 goes into 5. It can't. 32 goes into 57. One time, I subtract 32. 7 minus 2 is 5. 5 minus 3 is 2. Now bring down the 6. Well, now I've crossed over the decimal, so I need to make sure I have the decimal in my answer. 32 goes into 256. 8 times. 8 times 32. So we do the math over here. That is 16. Carry the 1. 8 times 3 is 24, plus 1, 25. That works out very nicely. So the correct answer there should be 1.8.